Hey everybody, welcome to week number 9, and we are going to take a look at what's going on this week. Before we get into the new materials, I just want to mention a couple of things about what we are currently working on. Early in the week, I will be looking at the rough drafts that you have posted for review, and once you get that feedback as well as your peer review feedback, you should make final changes. And of course, the final version of the informative paper is due at the end of this week. So that official due date is October 22nd. So I will try to get those comments to you as soon as possible. But what's really important about that is to note that if I don't have your rough draft on time, I will not be able to give you feedback. So that assignment is something that really, it's one of those things that needs to be done on time. Otherwise, you're not going to get much out of it. I mean, you can still get partial credit for turning it in, but I won't be able to give you any real feedback. So, with that in mind, please make sure that you get that in tonight, because I'm going to go ahead and post this so that you can get the feedback. I really want you to have it. The other thing that I'm going to do before we get into this week's materials is to go over the midterm. Now that's going to mean if you did not turn in the midterm that you will not be able to get any more than half credit on it, because of course I'm going to basically give you the answers. I'm very confused and concerned about the fact that people just have not turned stuff in, especially something like a midterm exam. It was worth 75 points, which is a pretty big chunk, not a huge one, but a pretty big chunk. The reality is that the one way for sure that you can fail English 1101 is by not doing the work. And especially with something, that's worth points, even the smaller assignments, if there's something that you're not turning in, you're just giving points away. And I just am very confused and concerned about that. I know that some people struggled with the midterm and that there was some confusion about especially question 3, but I put out the information before it was due, and I answered emails ahead of time and afterwards and all those other things. So, I mean, I guess my main piece of advice there is just to do your work. Now, I am going to offer right now, one time only, that if you email me, inbox me, don't email me on regular email, send me an inbox with, let's see, what'll we use for it? Let's say you tell me a story. Since we're in Halloween season, why don't you tell me what your favorite Halloween costume that you've ever worn was? And if you do that by the end of the day on Tuesday, which the date for that is going to be the 17th, by midnight on Tuesday, then I will add 10 points to your midterm score as extra credit. But you can only get that if you are paying attention to this video and you're sending me the inbox by Tuesday night. There's no exceptions to that. So if I get those, you'll get 10 points. If you didn't turn in your midterm and you turn it in after I go over it, you can earn half credit, but that's it. And you still have to have everything right. I mean, you'll get half of whatever points you would have gotten if you had done it on time. So keep that in mind. All right. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look. All right. So we are, as I mentioned, in week 9. So while you are waiting for my feedback on the draft and finalizing the changes that you want to make, we're going to be starting with APA format and documentation, and the next paper assignment, the next big paper assignment. You really only have two major research papers, the one that is due this week, and then the persuasive paper. You'll notice that the final version of that is not due until the end of week 13. So you will have basically the same pieces that we've done for the informative paper for the persuasive paper. So keep that in mind. All right. So like I said, I want to go over the midterm with you because I don't know if some of you didn't turn it in because you just were confused by it or whatever, but the concepts are things that you're going to continue to use in our class and beyond. This, of course, was specifically geared towards MLA for the questions, the formatting, and all that, but we are going to be doing the same thing with APA. You will never necessarily lose either one of them. You may be assigned either or as you go through college, so it's good to review. All right, so if I were a student taking this exam, which I am because I am currently in as a sample student, the most important thing is that when you take tests, you need to make sure that you read all of the directions. So in the opening, it talks about what of the learning outcomes from the syllabus are we focusing on here and where we have previously practiced them. So the first one, apply conventions aligned to various writing situations. We've done that in the narrative essay, and you've got 2 essays in this exam. Demonstrate information literacy, which of course we have practiced in the MLA skill drills, but also every step of the paper. Document source material in accordance with at least one recognized documentation style, which of course we're focusing on MLA here. And then apply active reading strategies, which part of that is again reading the directions. So please plan to complete the exam in one sitting. To be safe, carve out a couple of hours at least where you can focus on the work. There is no time limit with the exam open, but you can only submit it once. So do not submit it until you're done with all of the questions. So there may have been a couple of people who just hit submit or got out of it and didn't actually follow through with it. But I think most of the people who didn't submit it haven't even started it. So again, I'm a little confused and concerned about that. In question 1, using only your knowledge, no research required or allowed, write a comparison contrast essay, 5 or more paragraphs about one of the following. So right there, we have very clear, I have to write a 5-paragraph essay. It is going to compare and contrast things, which talks about, of course, the similarities and the differences. And it's very specific that it has to be 5 or more paragraphs. So it's going to have an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. And I was asked to choose from the following: 2 restaurants that serve similar food, 2 movies or television shows from the same genre, 2 theme parks, focus on one of the following: rides, themes, or food, and 2 musical artists from the same genre. So you could choose anything that you wanted to, but you had to have an introduction and a thesis which laid out what you were comparing. Each of the body paragraphs would have had a new topic. So for example, if my thesis, if my comparison was on 2 restaurants, then my first body paragraph might have been about the food, second body paragraph might have been about service, third body paragraph might have been about locations and convenience, something along those lines, and then I would have my conclusion paragraph. In the second one, you were asked to read an article, and there was a link here to it. All you had to do was click on it and sign in to the library, and then write 1 paragraph summary of the findings. A lot of people did this by including some direct quotations and things like that. That was not necessary. It was really just meant to be a summary, and it's really just to demonstrate your ability to read actively. So if you wrote a 1-paragraph summary of the findings, you probably scored all of 10 points. If you didn't, then of course you didn't score all 10 points. And some people just skipped it. And we went through this with the skill drill. I don't know why you would skip a question that's worth 10 points. Because even if you don't do it well, you're going to get some points for it. So, one of those things. Number 3, and we should be able to do this by now, locate and cite 5 highly credible sources on one of the topics below. And yes, that was a mistake, but the topic below is the writing process, because number 4 is technically below number 3. So a lot of people did that without asking me. Some people did it on whatever they wrote their comparison contrast on, which is fine. That wasn't the intention, but I didn't count off for that if that's what you did. And then I did post an announcement that it was supposed to be on the writing process. So this is supposed to look like a bibliography. It was not an annotated bibliography. Nowhere in the instructions does it say to write an annotated bibliography. So I do not know why some people chose to do that. That was doing more work than you actually needed to do. The big thing was, though, you had to have proper MLA citations, and a big thing that was missing was the full library citations. So I know I've demonstrated this before, but I'm going to demonstrate it here because this is something that you do need to know, not only for the MLA section, but for the APA section. So I'm going to go to, I can just go back to the class for that. I'm going to open, oops, that's not you guys. No, I'm going to have to go to Valencia. Okay, so we're going to go to Valencia's website, and I believe we can do it. I think we can do it directly from the Atlas page. Let me sign in. Yep, there it is. Okay, so under the library, if we search the library, we didn't have to dig. We didn't have to go into a specific database. I'm just going to put in writing process as my search term. And we are going to find books. We're going to find articles. I'm going to look at one of each because some of you chose a book. It has to say available online. Otherwise, we're not able to see it. So you can go over here and even check that and apply the filter. That's not a bad idea. But the ones that came up at the top are available online. So not a big deal. I'm going to pick this very first one, which many of you did. And I'm going to remind you that when you open this file, when you click on the title, this citation button is incorrect. It is always going to be incorrect. It is never going to be correct. Do not ever choose this citation. I know it's annoying, but it is something that is true for the entire state of Florida. So there's nothing that our library can do about it. There's nothing that I can do about it, except remind you that in order to find the correct citation, you need to open the source. So I think a lot of people, especially when you're not writing an annotated bibliography or a paper, would just click on this and take the citation and never open it. That is not going to get you a proper citation. So we have to click on the link for the fully available version. And right here is the correct cite book. Okay, so we click this, we choose the MLA citation. You will notice it's got an author. The first author is last name, first name. The second author is not. We have the book title in italics. We have the publishing company is next. It is not, oh gosh, that let me move that. That is really weird. Okay, let me move it back. There we go. The next item is the publishing information. Notice it does not have a city and state, and it does not say print anywhere in this citation. The next item is the database title, which is also in italics, and then the URL. this is the correct citation. So we would copy it and paste it directly into the box. So I'm going to do that just to show you. I did note in the midterm that you do not have to worry about the capital or the spacing and indent, but you do want to have the proper italics and things of that nature, title capitalization, all that good stuff. So there's my book. Now let's go get another one. Let's get the article that was a couple down. So we go back to the library and let's just pick this one. So we're going to click again. Again, this is never right. It's not right. It's never ever going to be right. Please don't use it. Okay. I don't know how else to say it. But open the document, open the actual source. And over here on the right-hand side, you will find the Cite button. You have to scroll down and get the MLA one. We're going to copy this. And we're going to go back over here and we're going to paste it into the document. Now, V comes after C, so they are now in alphabetical order. Some people didn't alphabetize. Some people put all the like websites together and all the library stuff together. Some people called things websites, but they were actually the library. It was very confusing. You only needed to have one website. The rest of them could all be from the library where you are going to be able to get proper citation. Notice, first piece is the author. Second piece is the article title, which in MLA is going to have quotation marks around it. Third piece is the journal itself, which is going to be in italics. And then you're going to have volume, issue, dates, and page numbers. After that, you're going to have the database title, which is in italics, and you're going to have a URL. Okay. That's what they will always look like. When you are citing websites, I have mentioned that there are good sources like easybib.com that will help you with those citations, but you also have to make sure they're correct. So if we go all the way back to the atlas, notice, remember, right below, below the search the library is the guides. So you can use those to make sure that your citations for websites are correct. And that is how you would answer that question. There should be 5 items on there. The last one is maybe the hardest, but it's also something that we should be getting pretty good at by now. We needed another 5-paragraph essay, this one on the writing process. And in this one, you had to use and cite at least 2 sources using MLA. So below the essay, you should have had a little works cited list. You didn't have to worry about spacing, but you were required to cite your sources. So you would have in-text citations and a works cited list. Remember, what goes in an in-text citation has to match what comes first on the works cited entry, which in both of these cases was the author. So we would have Carol, if I quoted from that first one, my in-text citation would be Carol and Wilson, and it's an ebook, so I would have the page number. So I'm just going to make up a page number just for the sake of what it would look like. And then the other one is going to be Vandermeulen et al. You have to have both of those. And that was also where I had access to the page numbers on the screen. It was on page 109 to 139. So I'm just going to, again, pick a page in between those. And that is what my in-text citation would look like. Every time you quote or paraphrase from a source, you have to have that. You have to have an in-text citation. If you named the authors, like according to Carolyn Wilson, comma, blah, 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 then we would only have 45 in our in-text citations. But again, we've been working on this for weeks now. So that is something that, these should not have, they should have at least been close. Let's put it that way. All right. So let's go ahead then and look at what's going on this week in the module. You are going to be going to a new topic because we're going to be learning about good grief. We're going to be learning about APA, sorry. So I'm going to have to go back. Sorry, this is going to take a second. Once you're in a quiz, it just gets very pesky. All right, so student view and modules. Okay. So this week, like I said, we're in week 9. So in the overview, you will note what we are covering. We're going to be talking about, of course, we're going to be completing the informative paper, but we're going to be learning about engaging with APA formatting and documentation, and of course, beginning thinking about the persuasive paper. You don't have to do too much on that this week, but, be thinking about topics and things of that nature. So under the readings and videos, you have a link to the full version of the assignment for the persuasive paper. So you are going to need to read through that. I'm not going to read it to you, but you'll click on the link and read it. You will also read chapter 13 on argument and persuasion from our online textbook. Again, here's the link to that. That chapter is pages 143 to 50. I also have given you a link to the OWL at Purdue's coverage of APA so that you can read about that. And then I have a lesson that I have made on how to set up APA format. So you can watch that. And then there's another one from another creator that will also give you some information on formatting your papers properly. You also have, I've given you a revision checklist for you to check over your paper yourself before you submit it. Plus, of course, you'll want to look at my feedback as well as your classmates. And then week 13 is going to be here before we know it. So if you haven't already started reviewing the grammar text, I would highly recommend doing it now. And that is what you're going to do this week. So the only thing that is officially due is the informative paper. But you can certainly be thinking about what you might want to write your persuasive paper on and all that good stuff. Don't forget, if you want extra credit on the midterm, you have to submit that by Tuesday night. You're going to be emailing me or inboxing me about your favorite Halloween costume. And last but not least, of course, remember that you can always reach out for help. It drives me crazy that I don't get more questions. If you have questions about an assignment, though, remember, I'm going to remind everybody to use the discussion board. We have a Q&A discussion. It's always linked at the top. This is the appropriate place to ask questions like, how long does this have to be? Or what is the thing about APA? And what is, those kinds of questions, post them, because we're not using that. And it's going to save me a lot of work having to send it out once instead of multiple times. So please reach out if you need help. Okay. Take care, everybody. Oh, one other note, I should let you know that over the next weekend, I will be out of town. So things may be delayed a little bit next week, but I will get your feedback on your rough drafts before I leave. So see you soon. Take care. Have a great day, and happy fall.